way.
Yeah, they're certainly playing for a chance, and that's all they can really hope for at this point. So James activating Scavenging Ooze twice, bringing him up to 4 so that the Life Bane Zombie puts him at 1. He's going to have to top deck next turn. We've come in with James at 1, and he packs his cards in.
So game 3 coming up.
Absolutely. Eric tying it up 1 game apiece. Life Bane Zombie, pretty fantastic against Archangel of Thune and Obsidian.
I imagine a lot of those cards are on the sidelines right now in game 2. The threat of Life Bane Zombie against those kind of threats is just too huge. And it's not like Palikrandos and Archangel of Thune are particularly good against black, even if they do resolve.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of things to bring in this matchup. I mean, 4 Underworld Connections, superstars against Mono Black. 1 Ultimate Price, kind of a necessary evil. 1 Dark Betrayal, obviously great. Duress, another fantastic one in this matchup. Even Sin Collector and Golgari Charm are reasonable. Sin Collector, I'm not sure, it depends on how you want to play it, but it can go after removal spells. Golgari Charm, being able to hit Underworld Connections is a pretty big game, and you occasionally sneak a Pack Rat or regenerate your guy from a Doomblade, but most of the time you're just trying to set up these spots where you basically are playing as a mono black control deck yourself with Duress and Thoughtseize and tons of card draw, but with the advantage of having a bunch of Planeswalkers and Whip of Erebos, unlike them.
Yeah, the biggest thing here is that the matchup is all about card advantage post-board. Fighting over the Mono Black Devotion's ability to generate it and being able to generate it yourself with your Planeswalkers and one of your own copies of Underworld Connection. So discard spells become the front of the battle. On Eric's side, 4 Duress, 3 Life Bane Zombies, 2 Doomblades, 2 Erebos, God of the Dead, 2 Dark Betrayal, 2 Freakisker. I think Duress and Life Bane Zombies are close to auto includes. It's a little interesting because both Doomblade and Dark Betrayal have targets in the junk deck. You're looking at a deck that has Palikrandos, Archangel of Thune, Corsair Crewfix, all reasonable Doomblade targets. Also, Obsidian Ghost Council appears in the deck. Potentially some sideboarded black creatures as well. So even though Dark Betrayal is a little on the narrow side, Obsidian is a very threatening card. And so there's a lot of ways for Eric to sideboard in the matchup.
Yeah, my guess is we're going to have to see that Doomblade, the combination of Scavenging Ooze, Corsair Crewfix, Palikrandos, and Archangel, even if some number of those go out, and the advent of the Worm, it's just, there's like tons of targets for the Doomblade, whereas Dark Betrayal, it's not like he needs it, like there's just not enough targets. You can't afford to be stuck with the wrong kind of removal spell in your hand.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people who sort of take this attitude of, it doesn't really matter because there's so much discard going on in the matchups that you kind of can bring in these high impact sideboard cards, because often it just comes down to we're removing each other's resources and then someone tries to get something to stick that the other person can't answer. So the highest impact stuff is black creatures, for example. Even if it's not that many copies, it still may be worthwhile to have something like Dark Betrayal. I don't think it's necessarily the case, but
yeah,
I've seen
it depends on which ones they are. Like in this spot, if he's just got 2 Obsidots, but sometimes they just have a few demons and that's it or something.
Yeah.
Or just some Pack Rats or something. I know that's kind of a classic move in some of the blue-white splash black decks that are playing against black-white mid-range, where the black-white mid-range deck doesn't even have very many targets, but you want to Dark Betrayal the Obsidot so bad,
Yeah.
Can't even hit the Blood Baron or Elspeth, obviously.
And it's impossible for this junk mid-range deck to sideboard entirely around Life Bane Zombie. There's just too many green and white creatures in the list, so James has to just leave in his highest impact ones and cut the low impact ones.
Or just play a ton and be like, you know what, I'm never scared.
Yeah.
The AKA the Brian Kibler approach.
Just overwhelm Life Bane Zombie?
Just continue to play green monsters into the face of Life Bane Zombie week in and week out.
Well, the problem is that the decks that Brian plays also, their creatures just trade with the Life Bane Zombie too, so there's no way it's not a sweet 2-for-1. Thoughtseize to open up the play here from Eric. Looks at a hand of Ultimate Price, Whip of Erebos, Obsidian, some lands. When you have Dreg Mangler in your deck,
yeah,
Life Bane Zombie is going to be really good against you.
Yeah.
That's just a rule of Magic.
Yep. What do you think of the new Life Bane Zombie of sorts? 1 in a black for a 1/1. Then when it comes into play, make some discard a non-land card of your choice. You're looking at their hand, and then they get it back, obviously, if the 1/1 dies.
Like a Mesmeric Vein?
Yeah, the only difference is it's an enchantment.
I can see Mesmeric Vein being pretty good in the Black Mirror match.
It's also got the new Oblivion Ring wording.
Right, yeah, you can't do anything fancy with it. So James just making land drops. Neither player in a position to do anything proactive just yet.
Yep. No cheesy maneuvers. You're going to have to play this one clean.
For now.
For now.
There's SCGDET for James. That gets hit with Devour Flesh. So James a little light on action right now. It might have to be Obsidat or bust this game.
I mean, even Obsidat is going to get devoured. What James really needs here is an Underworld Connections. Get this party, really started.
Yeah, it's not clear if any of his individual threats just mean anything. So
well, here's 5 life for James. 7.
Or maybe just a Hero's Downfall.
Sure. Yep. Obsidat could have been a hero.
Instead, he falls down.
Now, what's Eric looking for? I mean, is it the same thing, just looking for Underworld Connections?
Possibly Pack Rat. It's reasonable to assume James doesn't have he's not flush with answers to that card. He maybe will set up a double Pack Rat turn if James ever taps low. And
that's true.
Certainly, Underworld Connections or Erebos would be quite good here as well.
Definitely.
I think the card James really wants is Elspeth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Elspeth leaves a lot of value behind, and it's not like the tokens are trivial to get rid of.
Yeah. So Thoughtseize the draw for James. Looks at a hand of Hero's Downfall, Doomblade, and Swamp. So there goes Hero's Downfall, and now we're both just playing off the top, it looks like.
Yeah, and this makes Elspeth a particularly dangerous draw.
There is Pack Rat.
Eric was hoping for something like that.
It's one of the better draws here, certainly. It's going to put a lot of pressure on James to find Elspeth Pronto. So, Sylvan Carrington for James. Eric at the end of the turn. He's going to discard a Pack Rat, living himself with Doomblade in hand. And get a rat token here momentarily. And James in some trouble now.
Yeah, Pack Rat is for serious now. Once Eric untaps, he'll have access to enough Pack Rats to live through Bile Blight.
And there's only one copy in the deck.
Yeah, James only has the 1 Bile Blight. He still has 2 Elspeths, though, which is, I mean, that's a lot of, Elspeth can definitely raise Pack Rat.
Yes. So just waiting here momentarily to get a rat token here for Eric. But this deck does not flush with answers to Pack Rat once you're in a position to play Pack Rat with 3 up and a card in hand. A fair number of answers straight away, but once we get to this spot, the junk deck's in some trouble. Another Pack Rat to draw.
Seeing all these Pack Rats reminds me of John friggin' Rizzo's Plague Rat deck from the early 90s. I don't know how many of you guys were familiar with the Plague Rat deck back then, but a lot of people think you're supposed to play like 40 Plague Rats and 20 Swamps, or 36 Plague Rats and 24 Swamps or whatever. But Rizzo, I think, had it figured out. He was the pioneer of 20 Swamps, 36 Plague Rats, and 4 Demonic Tutors to find the rats when you need them.
Or the Swamp. Sometimes you're in a position where you want to cast 2 on turn 6 or what have you.
So 2 Pack Rats getting in there.
Eric making a rat before damage, and now another rat. He's just all in on these
He's all
rats.
in.
Hero's Downfall takes down 1, but we still got the 3 in play.
Bile Blight or Elspeth would be real good here. All right, read the bones as a start.
Could lead to a huge draw here.
That'll play.
There's a Temple and a Lightbane zombie.
Don't got time for that.
Thoughtseize Abrupt Decay. Abrupt Decay lets him keep his head above water a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, that means that there's, one more turn he can draw a Bio Blight to get out of this. It's unfortunate that he's one rat behind being able to block with that Caryatid to soak up some damage.
So that's 6 points of damage.
Yep. It's going to be 6 a turn, too, until James throws the Sylvan Caryatid away. He needs to find an answer pretty quick.
Bioblade or Elspeth are still very live right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So now if he doesn't have anything, he's going to be looking at chumping this turn. Advent of the Worm?
Okay, that's not bad.
That's something.
That's something we can play with here.
That's a real thing. Another pack rat enters play. James drops to 6. Oh, to 4. Jeez.
Palikronos, another 5/5's not bad here either.
Yeah, I mean, this is...
James got a little something to work with. It was looking like he was on the ropes. We were calling Bioblade Elspeth or bust, but back-to-back 5/5s is not shabby in this spot whatsoever.
No, I mean, Eric... the thing is, though, Eric's got... if Eric has any removal spell, he just wins on the spot. Oh, no, he doesn't win. He wouldn't have enough to pack rat him out. But he can't actually attack into this profitably because he could kill the Caryatid, of course, but 2 of his rats would die to the Palikronos.
And now he has to worry about having enough rats in play to survive Palikronos going monstrous on something, too. So there's... Eric's getting squeezed a little bit right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Palikronos with 1 more land is actually big enough to kill a rat. Even as it is now, if he just ships the turn, if Eric tries to make a rat, he can respond by monstrosing. This is why he needed to make the rat on his main phase.
It's another big threat, and their rat's down. James still fighting here.
Yeah, but things are actually slipping into his corner. Wow, that's big. It's not game over, but it is big. This attack will knock James to 1, but it does take Eric down to just 2 pack rats. He doesn't attack. Instead, just wanting to be lethal on his next turn?
Yeah. Checking the coast here.
He casts Lifebane Zombie, which means he does not have lethal this turn either.
Well, he's a little paid off of that play as he gets to see Dark Betrayal in hand.
Yep.
And having an Intimidate creature sets him up for next turn still the same way. And it's a hedge against Elspeth being drawn as well. So I like deploying the Lifebane this turn. But now I don't believe Eric can attack.
Well, because if you attack with all 3, you get blown out by the Dark Betrayal. You don't do any damage to him. But you have your Lifebane Zombie, and James doesn't have an answer.
Yeah.
So I'm not even 100% sure that it actually worked out that well. Either way, though, this game is surprisingly tight. It's surprisingly a close one.
And James is still kicking for sure. But now it feels like the coast is clear for an Alpha Strike.
I mean, everything else being equal, if you swing with everything, the Lifebane Zombie draws the Dark Betrayal, and there's got to be some Sylvan Caryatid chumping.
Yeah.
You lose 1 rat to the Advent, but he loses 2 Caryatids. Now, of course, he does have the option to Dark Betrayal or Rat and just eat the take the Lifebane Zombie hit, but that puts himself on a 1-turn clock as well.
Yeah, and Elspeth no longer provides any defense.
Exactly.
You have to imagine that James needs to play this game in such a way that Elspeth gives him a shot.
Eric going the conservative route.
So Elspeth still Totally live here.
Underworld connections, which is particularly dicey here, given that, part of the reason why Eric isn't attacking is he wants to make sure his rats are always big enough to be lethal threats.
Well, he can still cast Elspeth if he draws it this turn.
Yep.
All right, there's a 4th rat for Eric. And Grey Merchant makes it academic.
That's the game. So Eric wins 2-1, locking up top 8, or not locking up a chance to be in the lottery.
Yeah, he's got a puncher's chance. You had to assume, based on how far X1 and 1 went down, that there's no guarantee